I want to thank both of you ladies for coming to help me with Operation Decoration. I have Tracey Lyons from Tracey Lyons Inklingz, our Zen Doodle Extraordinaire, and also Carmen Wilbur with Style Fusion Home Staging. I recruited the big guns to help with this project in this very tiny room because we are trying to create a space for my husband and I where we can be creative and be organized, and we're not very easy to tame and rope in. So if everyone's been following us on Facebook, you've seen the ugly before we did the clearing and the clutter. So we've cleared the room, we've cleaned it, and we're already fighting for space. We've started adding some things on the shelves. I said, whoa, just a minute, let's get the walls done first. So in this room, this is in the prosperity corner of our home, which is all about wealth and prosperity. And for me, that's really my relationship with my husband and about being creative. And I really want to focus on being creative this year, thus this creative space. And as you've seen, and as you can see in here, everything is square. We've got the square cubies, we've got cubbies over here, everything's square. And on this main wall for artwork, I have some artwork that's really meaningful for me that was created from my tribe on my 50th birthday. These are the women that inspire me, and they've all done a portrait or a painting reflecting them. So I have 10 by 10 squares, again, squares, of artwork that I want to incorporate on this wall behind us here. There's a lot of square and a lot of rigid corners, so the Zen doodling I thought would be a perfect way to incorporate some flow and kind of soften and pull it all together. So that's what I'm hoping to have on that one wall. I'll be sitting there. That'll be my inspiration. And then, of course, I have this caricature of my husband and I, which I think we got on our first wedding anniversary paper. And also we have this handmade paper mat that Heather made for us out of our cards. So those two pieces are really important to me, and they do have to be framed. I'm assuming we're going to do black frames there. And then I have 3 other pieces from before we got married that are really kind of special and important that I was hoping to incorporate on these other 2 walls. So Tracey, I know you both have kind of outlined some things there. Do you have any thoughts so far about, are the walls a good place to start? We cleaned out the room. Am I jumping the gun?
I think the walls are a great place to start, just because it's the second thing after paint. That's going to define your room, so it's perfect.
Good, because I was not going to paint again. So we love yellow at the Tropical Cottage. Okay, so Tracey, it looks like you've done some sketching, and Carmen has some great ideas. And it's funny how we both said, okay, 10 squares on a wall. We all drew out a different diagram. So it is in the eye of the beholder. But you've got some ideas there of some squares and some ways that we can kind of soften that up. So can you kind of share some of your thoughts with us?
Sure. So you were saying that it appeals to you to have it sort of linear, but in a funky sort of, unsymmetrical sort of way. So what I noticed is that we really want to highlight these beautiful pieces of art. They're all radically different, really bright, and you really love them. So we don't want the background to sort of take focus away from these beautiful pieces. So to add to it, I was thinking, Zen Doodle is traditionally black pen, and so I think, if you're amenable, maybe we stick with the one color black, maybe some repeating patterns, maybe we pick 2 or 3, and sort of do that wall that way, and then we can talk about other things for this wall to sort of bring it across, bring it in.
Yeah, that was my concern, that this wall was going to be so strong. How do we keep that flow? I don't want to have all that power around you, I guess. But that Zen doodling, I think, is going to help us to flow in a very easy way to do it. Now, you shared with me that you Zen doodled some walls at your house at one time, and it sounds absolutely amazing. So any tips for people that want to try this at home, things to do, not to do, lessons learned?
So I just sort of spurred the moment one day, got paint pens and sat in my bathtub and doodled sayings and artwork that appealed to me and that were inspiring to me in the bathtub area. So when I would sit with my glass of wine and my candle, I would be in my Zen place. So I use colors for that, but I just use regular paint pens that I bought at the local craft supply. And I have to say that those paint pens have lasted well on those walls in a bathroom environment, which is tricky because it gets wet and so on. But it's lasted for many years. So I was thinking about this, that we're going to need a sort of a thick line marker. So Zen doodling is typically done really fine lines. So this will be a thicker, you need to be thicker so that it stands out on your wall.
It's a bigger canvas.
So exciting, so exciting.
I know, I mean, because this seems really big to me when I Zen doodle. So like the walls, I'm excited, but I know I'm going to have your guidance and help on this, so we can do this. And just by the sketches that I've seen, you can't ever imagine what's in somebody else's head. So I love having that plan and having those ideas. So I'm really looking forward to it. So we talked about this too on the way over here. So I'm never going to move from this house, and I'm never gonna cover up Tracey Lyon's creation. So, but God forbid something happened. We want to cover our Zen doodling. What are some ways that people can handle that with their walls? It's time for change.
Well, I really hope that you do cover it, because if you have the same inspiration 10 years from now, then you're not really growing. So, it's going to be lovely and you're going to enjoy it for a long time, but then there'll be some new thing to replace it. So, I was thinking about this too, because I grew up with, my dad had all white walls, so you didn't really hang things on them. You certainly did not draw. So I'm like trying to overcome all of that in my background. So when I was painting on my walls, I was sort of throwing caution to the wind and not really caring about what would happen to the person when I go to sell this house. How am I going to get rid of these pictures? So I'm thinking that kills and primer, will work. And a friend told me that a good tip is to paint with a medium gray paint over, and that covers many, many things. So.
All right. Well, this is the fun, exciting part, and I'm not as scared of that. Carmen, you and I are on deck next, because we're going to talk about organizing and containerizing the creative stuff in this space. So thank you. Dun, 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 dun. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Like it's a TV show.